Tarumbeta italia katika anga.
Like this. That is how the trumpet will sound.
Iko Nini. So Gachagua alianzisha a very interesting debate about North Eastern, and not just North Eastern, but the so-called marginalized areas, and how they've been using the money that they've gotten because of affirmative action. And of course lazima watu wabaki wamehit back. And unakumbuka ule mse alikuwa amesema that angekuwa president angededisha 5,000 Gen Zs. Unakumbuka mse? So mse kuna vile alikuwa ameitisha press conference, and it's so interesting because he made this become about ethnicity while it was not about ethnicity, because I think Gachagua kibonga jo story, one of the things that he was bringing up was just stories development and accountability. And so hata before tucheki kile Farah ama Fala Maalim alisema, wacha tucheki kile Ahmed Nasir alisema juu the same stuff. So Ahmed Nasir alikomeandika His Honorable, His Excellency, that is, Rigathi Gachagua is an unapologetically a Kikuyu supremacist and a tribalist class A. But he makes a valid point when he calls out leaders from northern Kenya and tells the truth about them. Honorable Rigathi is 100% right when he says that A, northern Kenyan leaders are thieves who steal from their people and invest public funds in Nairobi. B, northern Kenyan leaders can't account for about 1 trillion shillings given to the region since devolution started in 2013. C, northern Kenyan leaders have not built world-class institutions, e.g. schools, hospitals, etc., and have eaten CDF money. Alafu kaendelea, northern Kenyans leaders including MCAs are all domiciled in Nairobi and have homes, wives and children only in Nairobi and none in northern Kenya. Look at Garissa and Marsabit. Where did the 300 billion shillings in devolution money go to? Leaders steal money left, right and center and nothing happens. Gachagua is playing politics, but when he talks about northern Kenyan leaders and how they've let down their people, he's being truthful, and I'm with him 100%. And so that's what Ahmed Nasir alisema, and I feel like this is a very important statement before tusikize Farah ama Fala Maalim. So wacha tusikize umse, because umse mwingine aliamua kuiflip akafanya ikaini kama Gachagua was running an anti-Somali agenda, while it was not about that. It was about accountability. How do you get 1 billion and you can't account for it? And this is not just about North Eastern. Okay, North Eastern would be worse off. Najua North Eastern kuna akina pia Turkana, those ones are worse off because they are doing badly and they have nothing to show. But I still want to know, with all the billions that have gone into all these other counties from even Nairobi itself, but apart from Nairobi, naweza sema Kisumu, naweza taka kujua Homa Bay, naweza taka kujua Migori, hizo tu za Ujakani, naweza taka kujua like what has devolution done, because mostly devolution in Kenya is just about paying salaries to public officials. But why? Wacha tusikie vile umsali try kuiflip na kuimake a tribal affair.
Kenya's leaders and citizens must reject attempts to criminalize success or business acumen and using ethnicity as a factor.
Machiki history ya success and business acumen. Nakumbuka even when Gachagua brought it up, I think it was last year, I dismissed it. There's nothing like business acumen being brought about by tribe. All tribes can thrive in business. Najua, it's a good stereotype to have, but to claim that Gachagua is jealous because of the business acumen, the same bullshit that Gachagua was saying last year about business acumen, there's nothing about that. It's about either business is done on an individual level, like wagi about tribe. Najua, I've met very good businessmen who are Kikuyu. I've met horrible Kikuyu businessmen. I've met great Somali businessmen. I've met some who are horrible at their nini. I've met all tribes can be watu wa biashara. Najua. So kwanza kuclaim hini Gachagua is jealous of the business acumen. But okay, tuendele.
Somali-owned business enterprises, like all other Kenyan enterprises, strengthen the economy, create employment, and promote national development. Kenya is one nation built on unity, enterprise, opportunity, and the indomitable will of its 50+ million Kenyans.
So hapa ndio ilikuwa interesting. So umecheki vile amesema that Kenya is this na hii press conference kwa kuiwatch, it was interesting because uko mbele alisema one thing that I like saying, and the fact is that we as Kenyans did not choose to be Kenyans. This is something that was imposed on us by the British. So he brought that up, and I respect that. I respect anyone who brings that up, because that person can then understand why it takes us a very long time to come together as one. We did not choose to be one. No one knew where Kenya started and where Kenya ended before the white man told us inaanza hapa na inaishi hapa. So that was good. But also what was interesting with this is because of, I don't know what, but he decided to dare Trump and compare, so is that Trump na Maduro. So he says that Gachagua said that Gachagua aliambia nani Trump akuje achukue Ruto, and then he goes ahead to say that that can never happen. But wacha tusikize, because if he actually believes that can never happen, then this shows how disconnected the political class is from the average Kenyan citizen. But wacha tusikize.
No community in this country should be turned into a political punching bag by failed, reckless politicians. We hear him telling the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, come and plug out our president. Pick our president the way you have picked Maduro. Nobody, not the mightiest powers in this world, will have that capacity to do this against the will of Kenyans. Kenyans and the world must remember what happened many years back in Mogadishu when the Americans, with all their sophistication and might, wanted to take one General Farah Maalim.
Story of Black Hawk Down was interesting. First of all, I think it happened in 1991. How much has technology changed since then? Right now, they don't even need to show up. Just a drone can take out a whole infantry, if that's the name that we use. So there's that. But hii story, nikisikia Farah Maalim akibonga hivi, fansema against the will of 55 million Kenyans. But this I'd go back to what Farah Maalim said when he was starting his speech hapa. Alibonga the fact that Kenyans did not choose to be Kenya, but they are Kenyans because of the British. And because of that, another thing that needs to come to his mind is Kenyans are not united. And why are they not united? Because a lot of Kenyans are unhappy. So if Kenyans, a big chunk of Kenyans were to hear that Trump amekuja kugrab Ruto, they'd celebrate. The same way if we go back, a huge chunk of Kenyans, at least half Kenyans, would have been happy to see Uhuru grabbed. At least half Kenyans would have been happy to see Kibaki grabbed. At least half Kenyans would have been happy to see Moi grabbed. So to lie to yourself that somehow tuko so united that if the United States wanted to take Ruto, that we'd be out there fighting them. Number one, it's stupid. Why? Because their military is the most powerful military in the world. The only people who can resist an American invasion right now tuzasema tu ni China na Russia. The rest of the world, it's going to be tricky. Inawezabidi some kamikaze stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to be what. So, hii ilikuwa interesting kuona. Alafu to bring up Black Hawk Down, like, that was one of those things where it's luck played a role. Haikuwa vile itakuwa like, oh, they are so brave. Because if it's about being brave, then what happened in Iraq? What happened in Afghanistan? What happened in hizi countries zote zile US imeenda ikadisrupt? Libya. Acheki, because Libya, I'd say Libya militarily was superior to Kenya, najua. And I even guess maybe right now it's still superior to Kenya. So this was one of those zile mpaka nikushua Ruto alikuwa anashindwa ni gani hizi jo. Of course, does US have any interest hapa Kenya? Like, no, we don't have enough gold, we don't have enough oil for them to be interested in us. But if they are interested, they'd bring democracy and free and fair elections super fast. So this was someone talking like a clown. But wacha tuendelee kusikiza.
The one thing you can never try in the Horn of Africa is to try and do that. Americans learned their lesson. The international community learned its lesson. And not a single president of ours, not a single leader of our country will be placarded by anybody else. We don't care whether you're a superpower. And nobody will ever try.
Damn, man. Cause pia hii statement kama watch Iko Nini for some time na kumkaniki kuambia like I've given this story that one of my brothers used to work in Iraq. Na vile kwa na work in Iraq alikuwa na work kwa military base, and this military base used to have mostly American soldiers, but pia alikuwa naishia na British soldiers. Alikuwa ananiambia that every evening these guys used to do a patrol. This is during zile times ousting Saddam Hussein. So these guys used to do a patrol. And I remember like the first time, because aliendaga hiyo job, then akarudi. And the first time alirudigi for holiday Kenya, kumka kiniambia, never forgotten this words, kiniambia like, damn, every time he hears someone say that Kenya is a sovereign state, he's there like, no, it's not. Nikamuuliza why? Because if other people have allowed you to be free, then how free are you? Because what do you mean by that? Kasema, the way these people have taken over Iraq means they can take over basically any country. Don't forget, Saddam Hussein was someone who knew that and is attacking all of say. So of course he had a much more superior army than Kenya. Number two, Iraq was more united based on religion. Sisi, religion, division. Tribe, division. What? Division. Weapons tunatumia ni zote ni donated, ni medieval weapons. How can we protect ourselves? America learned its lesson. After Black Hawk Down, what has happened? Iraq has happened. Afghanistan has happened. Syria has happened. What else? Libya has happened. Which freaking lesson are we talking about? But all this, of course, is to take the debate away from the real story. And the real story is what is happening in North Eastern Kenya, and is this money being invested in Nairobi? I think that's the debate. And you can see someone like Ahmed Nasir coming out and saying that he supports Gachagua because Gachagua is telling the truth. So that means that yes, the money is being invested in Nairobi, and it's not just being invested, it's even to a certain level being poorly invested. Because kumbuka ilianza ni Isili, shasikia nikisifu Isili. Because yes, I don't know where the money is coming from, but damn, Isili has some nice apartments, number one, and some really nice malls. And malls za Isili zinakuwaga zimejaa, hakuna malls empty. So that's good. Where is the money coming from? Of course, there's clean business, but apart from clean business, there's of course dirty money. Dirty money from what? Minnesota, iko hapo, and also dirty money from the counties. Because this story that northeastern money comes to Nairobi, that one has been there. And I think we've had so many people say it. I think the first person I ever heard say that walikuwa ni Hanifa. It was not Gachagua. And so ikikam to hiyo, wacha digress kidogo jo. Kumbuka, majuzi tulikuwa na boy fulani yule ni what is it called? He's an architect, and he talked about sick buildings. And akona sick buildings ni buildings that don't let in the sun and such. And what do we have? Damn, we have a sick building hapa jo. Kuna hii building inasemekana iko maside za Parklands. So you can see the brown building, and by the time the people moved in, they had a balcony where they could see the sun, and they had what? And right now another building has come and just been built there. And Kenyans somehow will end up living in one of these two houses. Hatukuwagi serious. I think hii house ingine ilimetengenezwa hii side, at least haijawekwa window. Kwa hii side wamekama wakafunika balcony ya ingine ya brown. Because why would you live here? Why? Because it's an uptown neighborhood and you don't have the sun. Na kwa majuzi iya na kinicheka nikikumbuka ya Keja nilikuwa naishi Isili. Keja ikuwaga najua. I'm not going back here. Afadhali jo niishi ghetto. Siwezi ishi place inaitwa Babini na iko na balcony kama hii. Kwenda jo. But this is the nonsense that's happening. I don't know if this is also part of pesa ya kutoka North Eastern, because ikikam to hivyo, so North Eastern wamekuwa fight back, especially these leaders, because the people are supporting Gachagua. And wecheki what Nani said, anaitwa nani, Ahmed Nasir. But now the governors, man, they're fighting back. Kulikuwa na governor pia alianza zake za ovyo kusema vile watu wako jealous and where we are saying the money is coming from. So wacha tumsikize.
There's conversation about the investment in Isli, investment in South Sea, where people are saying this investment, at one point we were told, is looted county government fund money. The next day, these days we were told, is the CDF money. How much MP can loot from CDF to put up a story building in Isli? Then we were told these are pirate money. Then we were told this is money stolen from Minnesota. So I just want to tell our brothers, especially those from Central Kenya.
Acheki, trying to turn this into a tribal affair. That's what Farah Maalim was doing. And that's what this guy is doing. And why are they doing that? Because you see, that's Gachagua's Achilles heel. The fact that Gachagua once in a while will bring up tribe. Very many times he'll bring up tribe. So it's easy to claim that something that he's doing is tribal, even when we can all clearly see this is not tribal. This is fact. If these regions have received over 1 trillion and they have nothing to show for it, it's a problem. 1 trillion is so much money. There's so much you can do with 1 trillion. Nacheki. I think tushasikia zile stories as Rwanda's economy is smaller than Nairobi's. So wezi bring up but wacha tusikie kila sawa Central anaambiwa.
National schools was not built by CDF. Kama namna gani? National schools were built by colonialists. Some of them as way back in 1906. I went to Maseno in 1988. Maseno school was built in 1906. Nairobi school 1920. Alliance was built 1924. So when somebody, an MP, accuses the other MPs from Northern Kenya that they should use their CDF money to build national schools, that is stupidity of the highest order. They have not built these schools.
Hii story vile ametry kuitwist. Because kisikiza Gachagua, because Gachagua, another thing that Gachagua said, did he talk about your story of national schools? Yes, he said he blundered on that and he tried to work it back in a better way. And in the better way, what he was talking about, it come to place Kakina, North Eastern, is the fact that they have received all this money and they have no institutions to show for it. No schools, no hospitals, and nothing that they can show after kuhave ido yote. And yes, you can try and dismiss him and try and claim it's tribal and blah blah blah, but it's not. So wacha tu nini tumsikize, because Gachagua, one of the things ile pia imenibamba na history yote ni the fact that he's been coming up with facts. Unajua like ile numbers that hizi numbers zimepatikana, and I think that's another thing that's also being appreciated na wase wa North Eastern. Najua, like the North Eastern people themselves are coming out and saying like, you know what, this guy is saying the truth. Why? Because I won't lie to you, I'm someone who nakuaga hii area and kuna places nimeenda places kama East sana, nimeenda South Sea, and I can see the development, and you want to believe that this development is coming from najua pure hard work, but then you start seeing and you're zile maybe it's not pure hard work, because even pure hard work does not grow that fast. Najua kuna ile alafu saa baadaye unasikia ya states states wanatetaje, wasema that do yao inaibiwa. But apart from states kuteta do yao inaibiwa, what happens? Unasikia the people themselves wa hizi counties wakiteta wakisema that you know what, kuna vile nini do inaibiwa na wasa wajengi, there's nothing that's inajengwa hizi places. So tusikie vile Gachagua alikuwa na bonga juu story, and then we can relate it to ile obda wengine ametoka kubonga juu yake.
Kelele ati wajae mashule hii, tunasema hata North Eastern shule zijengwe, watoto ya Ukambani waende huko wajuane na wale wa Somali. We are saying kila mtu ajenge shule. Wale magavana na MPs ya North Eastern kwa jumla tangu devolution ikuje wamepata in excess of 1 trillion pesa ya devolution, equalization fund na ya CDF. Wamekataa kujenga mashule. Pesa hiyo yote wanapora, wanaenda kujenga mall Isili, wanaenda kununua apartment Lavington, alafu wanapiga kelele ati watoto yao wakuje wasome hapa Machakos. Sisi naambia watu ya North Eastern lazima tutetee nyinyi.
Matikio hapo amecheza vizuri, because I don't know about Lavington, but places najua of course kuna Isili, kuna South Sea, kuna Parkland saizi nasikia, kuna hiyo ile there is this unusual growth. Najua it's a growth that ukisikia there's some Minnesota funds, it makes sense. Ukisikia there's some funds from like the counties coming here, it makes sense because it's unusual. It's too much, especially when everyone else is struggling. And it's not like every Somali is thriving, it's the elites. Najua that's why I'm even surprised kucheki mse kama Ahmed Nasir uko like, oh damn, Gachagua is saying the truth, because him is one of the people who are thriving. Najua, and you expect these people who are looting, if they need a lawyer because a lawyer has to represent you. It does not matter if you are dirty or what. That's not the lawyer's job, that's the judge's job to judge you. So but tuendelee,
kwa sababu mtatetewa na nani? Magovernors yenu, MPs yenu, senators yenu wanaishi Nairobi. Nilikuwa nikiwa deputy president nikitaka kwenda Mandera, governor, MPs wananiuliza huko na ndege. Nasema ndio, utubebe, tunaenda na hawa, nikimaliza tutarudi na hawa. They stay here in Nairobi. Instead ya pesa ku develop Mandera and Wajir and Garissa, wana develop Eastleigh na South Sea. So what we are North Eastern, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, watatetewa na nani?
Kitu moja interesting is like when you ukienda neighborhoods kama East na South Sea, because to a certain level it does not matter where the source of the money is coming from, but you see a certain level of Somali excellence. And like one of the things that you admire is like the number of hospitals, and it's quality hospitals. And you wonder, what if the governors who've been looting, what if they were to even, let's say hajakuwa kiloot, basi learn from Eastleigh and learn from South Sea, build hospitals, build schools. Najua, do that. Like it's schools, you've gotten all these billions, hakuna chuo, hakuna hospitals, there's still abject poverty there, but Nairobi ni kuvuruga na kuhave fun. Makes no sense.
Hawa watu wameshikana na Kasongo, pesa yote wameiba. Ukiona ile pesa imepelekwa North Eastern, uende huko, hakuna shule, hakuna hospitali, hakuna chochote. Wamechukua pesa, wameenda kujenga South Sea na Eastleigh. Sisi kama viongozi wa Kenya ndio tutatetea watu ya North Eastern. We are calling for a special audit on how funds for devolution, equalization fund and CDF ile imepeanwa Northern Kenya imetumika vipi? Why are there no institutions? Why there is no visible development despite the billions of shillings that have been allocated in those areas? Na unajua sasa kwa sababu ni wezi na wanaogopa kushikwa, wanaenda kwa Kasongo wanasema 2 term. Unajua Kasongo ukisema 2 term hata ukiwa mwizi anasema usishikwe.
Oh damn. Kasongo ukisema 2 term hata ukiwa mwizi anasema usishikwe. And yeah, but I always bring this up. If you're afraid of Kasongo, you get away with a lot of stuff, yes? And kumbuka, the cabinet, when the cabinet started and there was someone who had a murder case, someone had an attempted rape case, mwingine alikuwa na steward, hizo kesi zote zili drop. So that's the best thing about Kasongo, man. He protects his friends. Even if it comes at the price of the country losing, na protecting him mabesti zake. And I guess as one North Eastern now, the thugs, they know that. And they know right now he's desperate. Like his focus is just getting that second term. And even if money is being looted, because try and imagine a situation whereby those things like the equalization fund was being used well. It would even help the incumbent, because now the incumbent can be like, you know what, I'm the one who's going to come to launch that hospital, I'm the one who's going to come to launch that school, that university, that what. But of course inaibiwa tu.
So it's up to the residents of Northeastern Kenya waanze kusema 1 term ndio Kasongo apidue fikira zake. So we are going to speak for the people of Northeastern. Those children deserve good schools, they deserve good hospitals, they deserve roads, they deserve water. Mimi nikiongea wanasema mimi ni mkabila. Sasa hiyo wa Somali ninawatetea, kwani hao ni wa Kikuyu? Lazima watetewe because hao watu wameumiza hiyo watu.
Yeah, machikio place amesema that wa Somali lazima watetewe. Iko Nini. So the festive season is here. Na LemFi wako na a very great offer kwako. Abaki umesign up ukitumia the promo code Iko Nini, and on your first transaction ya $50 ukisend home unabaki umepata a $20 sign up reward. Najua $20 sign up reward on your first transaction of $50 only. Why? because it's the festive season. Baki umechangamka, tumia promo code IKONINI, ingia LemFi, why? Upate the most competitive exchange rates, alafu pia inakuwaga ni chap like transactions ziko instant. Changamka haraka haraka, LemFi, international payments for everyone, IKONINI. So unapata now the Somalis themselves, kuna wale wanasema the same thing, wanasema like yenyewe for a very long time tumekuwa taken for a ride and it's time, like it's enough is enough, like these places have been looted enough and we've kept quiet because we've been like required to keep quiet. So wacha tusikize, kuna mse moja pia yeye pia alikuwa anasema the same thing, like hajai agree na Gachagua but this time ana agree.
For the first time I have seen and heard Rigathi Gachagua talking sense and facts. Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, umerepresent watu wengi wa North Eastern. I am personally from Marsabit County and I have seen dhuluma ile inaendelea Marsabit County. I have seen ukora ile inaendelea Marsabit County. I have seen wizi ile inaendelea Marsabit County. But once you try to talk about corruption in Marsabit, wanakukidnap, wanakutishia.
Nakumbuka kuna yule MCA alikuwa ni Wajia, ule alikuwa kidnapped and alidisappear for some time. I think hata kasi korong Bob Njagi alisema that by the time, like the first time alishikwa hapa Kenya, aliona go mse ama at least alisikia juu yake, but I remember he mentioned kitu kama hiyo. And yes, it shows you what this guy is saying, that that's what happens. Najua they intimidate you and sometimes they even go as far as saying that you are betraying the tribe. Najua that has always been a tactic that works in Kenya perfectly. Najua it's not just used huko, like it's used by any of these leaders. Wakiwa pushed to the corner, watasema it's an attack on the community. That's why you could see even when Farah Maalim was trying kutetea ma governors and what, he brought up that tribal factor.
They threaten you so that huwezi ongea. But reality is coming. Reality is here with us. Completely no development in Marsabit County. That is fact. Kama unakataa ati kuna development Marsabit, jitokeze tuone. Utuonyeshe hizo development ni gani na gani.
That's interesting, man. Like if you look at, I'll keep saying, if you look at Isili and you look at South Sea, damn, unless the business acumen inainshaga hapo Isili, South Sea, Parklands, then ukishatoka nje, I don't know, man, because 1 trillion shillings is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's money that can change a lot of stuff. But yes, ilikuwa very interesting hiyo kusikia nani kibonga juu ya like okay, Gachagua kibonga juu story, alafu Farah Maalim akitry kudare Trump, which is super stupid. Kenya is a very interesting country kikam to hii story because unajuaga what we suffer from most ni corruption. Na corruption ni nini? Corruption ni wezi. So wacha tusikize nini vile Gachagua alikuwa anasema.
Naona kweli hii mtu ni mjinga. He is stupid because he is comparing himself. Anaona mtu yeyote ambaye si mwizi ni mjinga. Nyinyi mnataka mjinga ama mwizi? Mnataka mwizi ama mjinga? Afadhali tukue na mjinga asiibe chochote. I think this country will be better off ikuwe na mjinga kuliko mwizi. Kama ujinga ni kukosa kuiba mali ya Wakenya, afadhali mimi nikuwe mjinga. So mimi nasema msijali. Hii matusi yote, hii kiburi yote, tarehe 10 mwezi ya 8 mwaka ujao, ikifika saa 3 ya usiku, hiyo kiburi yote itakuwa imeisha.
Damn. Okay. So yeah, hiyo ndio a story na Gachagua. So we niambie, like, what do you think, man? Is Gachagua too harsh on North Eastern, or is this, and this only about North Eastern? Because I feel like Gachagua has started something that should be about the whole of Kenya. And the whole of Kenya, in that a lot of these people are not, what is it called? They are not accounting for the money that they receive. These counties receive so much money. But Gachagua imekuwa interesting because it sparked all this debate where they are all sides. You have Somalis who are supporting him, and you also have Somalis who are also not happy with him. Kama kuna Somali moja ule niko na mcheki, alikuwa kwa Plug TV jo. Wacha tumsikize.
Viongozi wetu hamuko harika moja na Gachagua, wacheni kujibu Gachagua. Sisi wa mshinani ndio tutawajibu. Mimi na yeye tuko harika moja. Mimi ndio nashika cheo, hata mimi ni nominated councillor. Yeye hata robo kilo hana. Sahi hata akigombea kikundi ya Donkey Cat awe chairman hawezi pata. Mwacheni kujibu. Wacheni, hamuko level moja, sisi ndio tutajibu. Viongozi wetu wote msijibu yeye. Mimi ninaona kuna viumbe viwili ambayo haziongei ina akili kushinda mtu anaitwa Gachagua. Samaki na chura inaishi ndani ya maji. Ile maji imevunwa katika silanga au kisima.
Damn. Maji imevunwa katika silanga ama yeah. Okay, wacha tusikie. Let's see where this is going. And so Gachagua si rika lake. Alafu I think alitry kusema ile kitu ya Gabriel Oguda, ile Gachagua would not win an election in a cattle dip. Of course, right now Gachagua cannot win an election because he's been impeached. But if he was electable, he'd be very electable. If he was running for any governorship, he'd win it by 7 a.m. But tuendelee.
Au ile mahali watu wanashare ambayo Mungu ametengeneza maji inaingia. Maji ikikaa sana miezi kadhaa, samaki nyingi inatengenezeka. Chura nyingi ziko hapo. Wakati maji hiko unasikia sauti yao. Chura inalia. Namna hiyo. Samaki naye inacheza pop pop ndani ya maji. Lakini maji ikikwisha, samaki naye ina akili. Inafuata hiyo tope. Inaendelea kuchimba. Inafuata mpaka inaenda fiti karibu 7 ndani. Aishi hapo kwa hiyo baridi mpaka hiyo silanga ipate maji ingine tena. Chura naye kwenye makona anachimba na hiyo mguu yake kidogo ya nyuma anaingia, ndio ile ukitazama macho kubwa kubwa ndio unaona. Haneni na hasemi. Au anaruka anapanda juu ya miti. Hakuna sauti. Sababu unajua ile maji walikuwa wanacheza nayo ilikuwa inawafurahisha, imekusha. Hakuna furaha tena. Paka mvua ingie, inyeshe, silanga ijae maji ndio utasikia sauti yao tena.
Oh damn, hii ilikuwa ni an analogy of Gachagua should be quiet, man. Damn. Sorry for starting your morning like that, but I don't think Gachagua should be quiet. This is one of those things where I fully support him. Like this is a very interesting debate, man. Too much money imekuwa given up kwa hizi stories za devolution, and there's very little to see, and this can't continue forever. There's no way national funds should be used for salaries and personal wealth, najua. And it's clear to see, like, North Eastern is the worst affected. Like, that's actually scary, man. Alafu tukifikia that North Eastern is the worst affected, alafu sikia wase wote wanaishi Nairobi. Na wanaishi wapi? Wanaishi Isich, wanaishi Paki, wanaishi South Sea. And then uangalia, where is the most development in Nairobi right now? Isili, Paki, South Sea. Is the money coming from Minnesota? Is it coming from funds? The way it looks, it's coming from everywhere. Najua, it's coming from Minnesota, it's coming from funds, it's coming from honest businessmen. It's coming from everywhere. And we can't just like sweep this under the rug and claim, oh, this is an attack on a tribe. This is about accountability. And this accountability has to go beyond North Eastern, although that's the worst affected. Lazima tuangalie hizi counties zingine zote tujue like what's happening. These rural counties, najua like what's happening in these counties apart from paying salaries. Nini tena inafanyika? And yeah, tuone. Otherwise Sunday morning, come on in the church. I hope you've put on your best and make sure you pray for me. Iko Nini.